Okay, so if you're gearing up for the SSC MTS exam, you're going to want to pay close attention. We're about to tear down the latest exam paper, and not just to see what they asked, but to figure out what they're going to ask you.
You can think of this as your secret weapon, really. We're not just looking back at old questions. No, we are taking them apart, piece by piece, to build a battle plan for your exam. The goal? To have you walking in there feeling like you've already seen the paper.
All right, first up, history. And wow, they really covered the whole timeline, didn't they? We're talking everything from ancient empires all the way to the freedom struggle. But the real secret isn't what they covered, it's the kind of details they zeroed in on. And just look at this range, it's kind of wild. You've got the exact year King Harshavardhana died, then jump to a super specific architectural detail about Ashoka's palace, then over to a key satyagraha, and then the founding of the Prafana Samaj. What does this tell you? It means you can't just know the big picture, you've got to know the tiny details too. Everything is on the table.
And they didn't stop there. They went deep into ancient politics, right? Asking about the most powerful clan in the Vaji Confederacy. So the lesson here is pretty clear. Just memorizing a list of dynasties isn't going to cut it. You need to know how they worked, who the major players were inside those dynasties. It's all about connecting the dots.
Okay, so we see this need for detail in history, but what about other areas? Well, let's take a look. Coming up, we've got a mix of culture, science, and geography. Basically, the heart of static GK.
See the pattern here? It's all about connecting the person to their thing. It wasn't just a simple, who is Vikram Seth question. No, it was about his book and equal music. Same deal with Zakir Hussain and the tabla, and you Srinivas with the mandolin. You have to know the artist and their specific art.
And then you get a question like this. Just the number, 17. What's that about? Well, that's the population density of Arunachal Pradesh, the lowest in the whole country. And that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's not a trick. It's a straight-up test. Do you know your census data, yes or no? They're also testing you on official stuff, government classifications. Like, they threw out a question asking, which of these is not a classical language of India? You either know that list or you don't. And in this case, the odd one out was Erding. And of course, you've got your basic science. A simple, what is gravity type of question. It's a good reminder that amidst all these specific facts, you can't forget the absolute fundamentals. They're fair game too. All right, let's switch gears to current affairs. This is all about what's been in the news lately. And the focus? It looks like it was heavy on big international sports events and some major policy moves, both at home and around the world. So, another number, 12. What do you think? This one is the total number of medals our wrestlers brought home from the 2022 Commonwealth Games. This is a huge clue, right? It's telling you loud and clear, pay attention to sports, and especially how India's doing on the world stage. So how do you even prep for something that specific? Well, here's the game plan. You need to zero in on the big three, the Olympics, Asian Games, and Commonwealth Games. And don't go too far back. The sweet spot seems to be 2022 to 2026. What do you need to know? India's final medal count, where we ranked, and for sure the names of anyone who won gold or had a really amazing performance. And it wasn't just sports. They pulled from all sorts of headlines. You see the mix here? An environmental policy from the UK, a big economic stat about China's iron ore, and then something super specific to our own parliament, the cut motion, which is basically a way for the Lok Sabha to challenge the budget. So the takeaway is, you need to have a wide net for current affairs, but you don't necessarily have to be an expert on every single topic.
All right, we've taken the whole thing apart. Now for the most important part. Let's put it all back together into your personal study plan. This is the so what of it all. How do you use this info to study smarter?
This right here, this is your cheat sheet for revision. These are the topics that are giving the most bang for your buck. For geography, you have to know that 2011 census data cold, especially density and growth. For history, really dive into the Mauryan period. We're talking their administration, even things like the coins they used. And for economy, get familiar with the big PSUs. What makes a company a Maharatna versus a Navratna? Look, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that this exam is not just a random collection of questions. Not at all. There are clear patterns, and those patterns show you what the examiners think is important. If you can see the pattern, you can focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact. It's about being strategic, not just drowning in books. So, I'll leave you with this. Now that you know the blueprint, what are you going to do differently?